Hey, 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 welcome back. It's PDJ and Funky Stuff, Steve Fredland.
Hey, how you doing, PDJ?
Good, good. That's your new nickname. I'm going to try out some nicknames and see which ones stick.
So what was it? Funky Stuff, Steve?
Yeah, Steve Funky Stuff Fredland.
Okay, all right. I
Or
like
just Funky Stuff. Yeah.
it because it's kind of a reverse. So like Steve Fredland is SF and Funky Stuff is FS. It's kind of got this, I don't know, a very reflective sort of perspective on my name.
Yeah. Kind of a palindrome. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So anybody that's going to call me Funky Stuff obviously doesn't know me very well because I'm not really a Funky Stuff kind of guy. But I'll take it for this is going to be my on-air persona, right? Is I'm Funky Stuff.
Right,
Nice.
right. Well, we have got a lot to get to today. A lot of interesting things going on in the Isanti County Star today. So we've got, and then we've got some other things we're going to be talking about a little bit later. But first, we want to cover the news. And so the biggest story of the week, I think, is the CBD store that opened up sort of under the radar.
Yeah.
In that old, that weird old kind of strip mall that's been just sitting vacant for like 10 years.
Right. Yeah, just kind of, but just near Isanti there.
Yeah. And my question, backing up. The headline is City of Isanti, CBD okay, toys and pipes, no way.
Yeah.
So kind of a clever little line there.
Yeah, it hooks you in, right? You're like, okay, what do we got going on here?
Yeah.
There's CBD, there's toys, there's pipes, there's okay, there's no way. Like, what's going on? Jennifer Cotillo wrote this article, so good headline. Hooks you in a little bit.
Yeah. Now, I don't think I know Jennifer, but
I don't either. I just saw the byline, but let's give her a shout out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I hope in hopes that I didn't butcher her last name.
Well, first of all, before we get into the story, that strip mall has been kind of a weird, confusing, interesting question mark for me because it's just been sitting there empty for 10 years. There's a couple stores that moved in a few years ago, and they must not have worked out. And then there was an error. Most recently, there was an archery store in there, and I don't know if that's still there, but it's just so. Well, one, so strange that it's been sitting empty. But two, how do you even get into that place? Like, I don't think I'd be able to know how to get in there, even if I want.
Yeah, I'm sure that's part of the issue. I mean, you just got to go around the back way. But yeah, from one perspective, you look at it from Highway 65. You're like, oh, that's a great location. You know, people drive by it every day, and it is from that perspective, from a real marketing promotion perspective. It's right there. You see it. You know, you can really take advantage of some things, but you're not going to pull off directly from 65 to get there. But you know, if it's something that you really wanted to go to, you know, I think you'd figure it out. You would just turn off and say, "Oh, well, it's still over there." You know, and there's little side back roads that that would lead into that. So I don't think it'd be that big of a deal, but it's not intuitively obvious. So potentially that's for certain businesses, I suppose that could be a hindrance if like a gas station, for example. Like there's all kinds of gas stations that are very visible, but they're kind of a pain to get to. I think of the one like in North Branch. It's a really great gas station. It's right by County Market over there.
Yeah.
Kind of get in and out of it. You know, sometimes depending on which direction you're coming from, you kind of have to take this back way. Like, there's too many gas stations that are just super convenient. So for that, but if it's something that's like a unique thing to get to, I think people would figure it out pretty quickly.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
So what angle do you want to cover on this thing? There's a number of angles with this deal. Should we just kind of get people up to speed on what this thing is, what's actually happening first, and then we can take some perspectives?
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead?
Yeah. So basically, just reading the article, and I don't have any association with this other than the article. So I'm trying to get all my information from that. But there's this. It's called the CBD joint, and basically, long story short, it's the CBD oil and some of those things are completely legal. They're within the city ordinance, the Highway 65 ordinance to be able to sell those things. So this guy, Dennis Buchanan, he buys this location. He puts in what he's calling the CBD joint at the Highlands, puts it in there. Well, he's not just selling CBD oil. He's also selling pipes and things that could be used for other drug use. But he's also selling like adult, he's saying not toys, but there are like adult toys, adult products on the shelves as well. So he started selling those things. They started promoting it on 93X, which is a radio station down in the city. It's kind of a hard rock radio station. They started promoting it as, CBD and adult toys and blah, blah, blah. And then eventually word got out. Somebody in Isanti took notice of this, posted something, and that started getting people worried about this thing. And they went in there, they talked to him. They forced him to take some of the stuff off the shelf. But there's still kind of this ongoing debate around what he can sell, what he can't sell. And his perspective, he's actually the owner of Sex World in Minneapolis. And he's just trying to, sell these products. He feels like there's a connection between CBD oil, which apparently can increase your sex drive, and some of the toys and all of this stuff. So he's just, at least from the article, the perspective of him is he's one of these driving businessmen who's just like, I'm going to do it and then stop if they force me to stop, rather than looking for, it's sort of the consultant mentality. I'm going to ask for forgiveness later. I'm just going to do it, including like he put up signs that were outside of their ordinance. So he just kind of said he just bought the thing, ran in there. I'm going to sell all this stuff and see if you can stop me. And I'm going to fight it tooth and nail. He's got the lawyers that have been involved in a lot of First Amendment stuff that are on his side. So sounds like he's kind of digging in his heels. He's going to fight to be able to sell what he wants to sell. The city of Isanti is saying, hey, it's outside of the ordinance. You can't sell it. So that's kind of the overall context, of this shop from what I took out of the article.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds about right. And it sounds like it just kind of flew in under the radar. He just kind of went in there and set up shop, and without really talking to the city. And
well, and that's the part that I don't understand. Obviously you have to go through certain processes to buy buildings and to open businesses and places. So I'm sure there's some of that. I just don't understand how the process really works. Like, did he follow the process that says, hey, I want to open a CBD shop? And I don't know if the council has to approve it. I don't know who has to approve what. If he just buys a building and he uses it for that purpose, what goes on there? But yeah, it sounds like he either flew in under the radar completely, or he, misrepresented what he was actually going to be selling.
And I guess if you start a business, you don't necessarily need, city approval.
Right.
If you're buying a building, that's just a real estate transaction, and then what you put in the building. So, yeah, but I guess if there's kind of regulated products or something, maybe that's what makes the difference.
Yeah, everything's like zoned for different uses. So there's that piece of it. And I've owned a number of businesses, but they've always either been really small or outside of the city limits. So I don't know, what sort of special things go in there. But yeah, so they buy the building, and the buildings are zoned for commercial use. And then I think it's probably, up to the owner to say, well, what are the ordinances around the usage, and then to make sure that they follow those. It sounds like there's not necessarily, though, an entity that's verifying that all the uses are being followed on the front end, or having a discussion. And I don't know that there should be.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. It sounds like, you buy the building from one person, you start the business with the state of Minnesota. That's who you'd actually file with. And then you start acting, right? And then as long as you're paying your sales tax and all of those things, I don't know what other oversight there is until there's potentially a breach of an ordinance, in which case the city.
Well, let's move on here.
Why?
So I looked up what CBD is.
Yeah.
And I don't know a lot about CBD, but I can just kind of read some information about it in case some of the listeners are like me and aren't really sure what it all is. Does that sound okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. So CBD is short for cannabidiol, or cannabidiol. Cannabidiol. It's a chemical compound from the cannabis plant, naturally occurring substance that's used in products like oils and edibles to impart a feeling of relaxation and calm. Unlike its cousin, THC, which is tetrahydrocannabinol, is not psychoactive. So the effects you get from it are relaxation and calm. And so it cannot get you high. It does not give you high. There are exceptions to that. There's a small percentage of people who react differently to CBD, according to this Dr. Chin from the article. And so 5% of people say that they feel altered after taking CBD. Now, have you ever had CBD?
No, but I do know a number of people who do use it, like the oil for a lot of times either anxiety or like pain, inflammation, joint pain, and things like that.
Yeah, I know it, and it sure seems like it's exploded lately. I mean, I hadn't even heard of it once a year ago, and now it seems like it's everywhere, and a lot of people really do swear by it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So I've had some of the gummies with CBD in it, apparently, and I didn't notice a dang thing, actually.
Okay.
Maybe it's just because I'm so relaxed and calm.
Right. Well, you get so high just from the sugar that you're going to be able to tell the difference.
That's right. Yeah. Is there any way we can extract the CBD, take that away, and put more sugar in instead of the
Right. Okay. So you've tried it, but you didn't notice anything different.
No, and I don't know. It's always so hard. I mean, to me, it's like a lot of those supplements that I take, like vitamin B and magnesium and all these things. It's just impossible to know if it's working or not because there's so many factors. You know, if I got a good night's sleep the night before, then I feel great. And was it from,
Yeah. Well, I've had people say I should try the CBD oil because I've got joint pain and stuff like that too. And I've been resistant. Part of it is I just don't like to put stuff in my body that I don't really understand. That's just part of it. And like you said, I don't know what's going to work.
Yeah, vegetables, for example. I
don't understand them.
Yeah.
No, that's why I've started to eat more vegetables in the last 6 months or so, because I've actually researched and found out they're just a plant. And so now I feel better. Now I feel better about eating broccoli because I realize, okay, it's just a plant. I can eat it.
It's not big vegetable just trying to shove chemicals down your throats.
Now, if CBD oil was like cauliflower, broccoli, something, if that's what the CBD stood for, was like cauliflower and broccoli, I'd be more resistant than I am already. But no, so that's, it's that deal. And it's like, is this just a fad? Do we not understand it? I mean, there's a lot of things that have, through history seemed fine. Cigarettes being one of them, that over time you realize, ooh, that's not a good thing. So medicinal marijuana, vaping, all these things, who knows? I'm not judging those things. I'm just saying, you just don't know for years to go. And if I'm not going to be convinced that I'm going to see a really result that's really going to have a huge positive impact on my life, I generally don't put stuff into my body. But that's not, a lot of people do it. Like you said, a lot of people swear by it. And even if it's like, if it's not actually working, if it's more, what do they call that when you give a placebo? Even if it's just a placebo, if the end result is you feel more relaxed, you feel less anxious, you feel less pain, even if it's not actually doing something to your body, that's a pretty good result.
Yeah, exactly.
So even if it's just in your head, so what? So so interesting. But the article really, I mean, the CBD stuff, that's an interesting thing because people aren't familiar with it. I think a lot of people are really concerned about, the increase in cannabis and the medicinal marijuana, kind of that movement toward legalizing marijuana and all of those things. So, this kind of feels like a subset of that. And so I think a lot of people are very nervous about that. And so it's good to at least explain what is CBD oil, in the context of that. So I think that's good. And that's what this shop is. And there's other shops that are in the area. If you're not aware of this.
Let me give just one last kind of informational thing about this. And so it's kind of confusing because you hear the terms cannabis, marijuana, and hemp all tossed around in relation to CBD. And so here's just a little more background on that. So it says the plant Cannabis sativa has two primary species, hemp and marijuana. So the hemp is, and you've heard about hemp rope, and some of the founders of the country were growing hemp like crazy.
Sure.
And, there's apparently a lot of uses for that. So that's the one. And then marijuana, where is the other species. They both contain CBD, but there's a much higher percentage in hemp, which has very low THC levels compared to marijuana. So marijuana has high THC, low CBD, and hemp has the opposite. So, and when people talk about hemp oil, they're referring to oil extracted from the seeds of the hemp plant. There are no cannabinoids, CBD or THC, in hemp oil. This ingredient is packed with healthy fats and often appears in beauty products for its more moisturizing benefits.
Oh.
So hemp oil, that's a totally different thing from
Yeah.
CBD and marijuana. So,
But is CBD oil extracted from both marijuana and hemp?
no, CBD. Wait, say that again.
Or where is CBD oil extracted from? Is it from both species?
From the hemp. Yeah.
Okay. But hemp oil doesn't have CBD, so there's two different types of extraction apparently that can happen.
Yes. So hemp oil is a derivative of hemp.
Right.
And CBD is a derivative of hemp. So you can get both hemp oil and CBD from hemp.
Yeah, that's the weird stuff, man. That's the weird science that gets me all the time. Like, okay, we got a plant and we're going to extract different oils from it. Like, what? Like, who does that?
Yeah, and how do you tell which one is?
Yeah, that's crazy, right? Obviously, there's a huge industry associated with it, and the pharmacologies or whoever they are that figured these things out. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. But it is kind of interesting, and it's interesting that it has kind of taken this long for it to kind of come out. It sort of seems like we've discovered. It's just funny that we've discovered a new way to use a plant that's been around, since forever.
Well, I think I think it's to me a lot of that's timing too. A lot of times, maybe this has been discovered long time ago, and it's just a timing issue. You hear about that people make some discovery, but they're not going to introduce it until the timing is right. And so now, okay, you got marijuana being legalized. People seem to be more open to anything related from the cannabis plant. So that's part of it. You've got an aging population. You got more people with aches and pains. You've got American anxiety and depression at an all-time high, looking for solutions. So I think there's whether somebody is sitting on it or not, or it's just it took the right sort of environment for this to actually be successful.
Yep, that's a good point. Yeah.
It's like you and your white sport coat and synthesizer. If you hadn't been alive in the 80s, you never would have been the superstar that you were.
No, I know. Yeah, that top 10 record. That was
the record, right? Can you imagine now, like, a flock of seagulls came on the scene? Like, what is this? This is awful. But back in the 80s, man, synthesizers ruled. Don Johnson's white sport coat brought it all home. So yeah, I don't know, if you want to keep more about that, but just, the other piece that we haven't talked about, and I don't know if you want to, is just, selling some of the adult stuff in the store as well. And, that could be a whole conversation. How do you feel about that? But that's part of this whole thing. But for me, kind of the key takeaway was not a takeaway, but just sort of an interest in, okay, how are these businesses regulated? And like, if somebody doesn't happen to tattle on them, would this have just like continued for a long time? The guy was selling things illegally for a while, and unless there's no oversight, which I don't say is a bad thing, because it seems like an impossible thing to really have oversight. But like, who's to say he's not going to just sell them underneath the counter or whatever?
I think I just lost you.
Oh, are you back now?
Hello,
Peter. Hello. We may have lost our host, Peter LeAnne. He's frozen on the screen at this very moment. Peter, check 1, 2. Well, I'll just keep chatting. Hopefully he'll come back in, but he just gave me the microphone, not by intentionality, but so my big thing with this is, I don't know how I feel about him selling some of these other things as well. There's the pros, there's the cons, there's the morality, there's the ethics, there's the business, there's free speech. There's, hey, we're all adults. Hey, kids could walk in the store, but maybe they can't because of the store, the location, the neighborhood. There's a whole bunch of different dynamics that are in play here. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. But I think for me, the key takeaway is here's a guy who just says, I'm going to run this business the way that I want to run this business. And he's just going to kind of drive forward as best that he can until he's stopped. And I think that's a trait of a lot of good business people. I guess the question is at what cost personally? And I guess it doesn't seem like he has any ties to the area. I don't know if he lives here now, but he's running sort of sketchy businesses down in Minneapolis. And he's just saying, I see this vacant store that I can probably capitalize on. I can make a ton of money off of CBD oil and other things. And I'm just going to do this as a business person. I'm not going to worry about what people think. And I'm just going to plow full steam forward. And that's what he's doing. And I think a lot of people are going to say, man, that's a great businessman. You go, and you're entitled to that opinion. And a lot of people are going to say, boy, what a schmuck. And they're entitled to that opinion. So I don't know how I feel about that from a business perspective. Even if this was something that I was super interested in, I would tend to not give this person my business just because that's not how I would like to do business. I like people that are saying, I'm going to make sure that I'm doing things on the up and up. I'm going to go through the right channels. I'm not going to sell stuff illegally. But he has every right to try to run his business the way that he wants to run his business until he stops. So it'll be interesting to see if that store makes it, or if that store has to shut down, or what's going to happen as a result of that. So, Pete, are you back?
I am back. Yes, my internet connection sort of cut out on me. So
no problem. I was just having fun because I said, "Oh no, Pete just gave me the soapbox. This is like the absolute window I've been dreaming of where I can just talk." So I said a lot of really bad things about you, about LeAnne.
I can only imagine
the whole Truline family, the wedding. It was all just kind of ripping on the whole thing.
Yeah, I guess my personal feel, the CBD doesn't bother me, but the adult top toys and products, and I've said before, I'm kind of libertarian for the most part, just everyone do what they want as long as it's not hurting others. But I don't know, I just don't really want that element in the community, sort of, and the, the people, the kind of the customers that it draws, like, so that's my personal feelings. But I realize that it kind of contradicts my libertarian views too.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think his point that he made in the article is kind of interesting. Like, well, now people that are going to want this stuff don't have to go all the way to Minneapolis and that sort of thing. But I mean, there's the online stores too. Like, that's the funny part. Like, I think if there's anything that people want to purchase that they're ashamed of in any way, shape, or form, they could just get it online. So that's kind of the interesting thing. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how I feel either. I mean, if as long as it's not in an area where kids are going to be running around, I don't know. I mean, I'm torn on that thing too, because I've changed a little bit in that are all of those things inherently bad? Is everything inherently bad? Are we on constant lookout for everything that's going to crush us as a community? I've changed my perspective on that a little bit, but yet on the other hand, like you're saying, there are certain people that are drawn to those sorts of things that you're like, I don't know if we want to say as a community, hey, this is okay. Anything kind of goes in our community. What does that mean for the city of Isanti to say, no, what, you can open up any kind of shop that you want. Let's open up, here's the marijuana shop. Here's the gun shop. Here's the sex shop,
shop. Yeah. The liquor shop. The gambling shop, the liquor shop,
the casino. I mean, all those, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing. And to me, this comes back to what I've been doing in my coaching sessions is really ultimately, what do you want to be? What do you ultimately want to do? And I think that's where I assume the city of Isanti, I assume every city, I've assumed this about every organization always, and I'm always very disappointed to find out that it's actually not happening. But I always assume that, like, at the city council or somewhere, they're saying, ultimately, what do we want our city to be? Like, what does it look like? Are we the sort of city where, hey, we welcome everybody, and, some of the stuff's going to be controversial, but, we're a place where if you have a dream, you can chase it, no matter what that looks like, as long as it's within the context of the law. Or, do we want to be the city where this is really just all about where we're relational? Whatever that is, what do we want to be, a fiscally responsible city? What is the goal of the city? And I think, I'm not saying they do or don't do that, but what I found with most organizations and people in general is they really don't have a overall vision and overall objective for what they're trying to do. And so when they come across a decision like this, they're like, I don't know. And then they just listen to the most intense voices, and that's the direction they go. And then sometimes they're making decisions for the health of the community. Sometimes they make decisions for money, and there's really no consistency of decisions. And so to me, that's where I would just love, the leaders of Isanti or Cambridge or Minnesota or whoever to come out and say, okay, here's our ultimate goal for the city. And then you could look at something like this coming to town. And you could say, okay, that makes sense or doesn't make sense based on where we're ultimately trying to go as a city. But I think generally that doesn't exist, but that's where I go to automatically when I see this. I'm like, okay, how does this fit into the overall vision for the community?
Well, and if I had to guess, I would say, I mean, do you think that maybe the unspoken vision for Isanti is growth? Because it sure seems like they're trying to grow things with the new hotel and businesses.
Yeah, and maybe, and I don't follow it as closely as some, but I would say to me, growth isn't a vision. Growth is a strategy. And so I would say, okay, if they're really emphasizing growth, which you might be right, if they're really saying we're going to really just try to grow, get businesses in here, get people in here, make this a sort of a center for business and industry, whatever, that's fine. That's a strategy, but to what end?
Right.
Like, what's the ultimate goal of that? So that Isanti becomes sort of the local, epicenter of things. Okay, well, that could be true, but that's still not the goal in itself. Okay, why do they want to become the local epicenter of things? What's the goal with that? Still, that's where those are kind of the why questions that you keep asking to ultimately get to your ultimate core objective. Because I think
by vision, you mean sort of something that's compelling and kind of.
It's compelling, and it's like the ultimate. It's the ultimate. It's the why question that you can't ask again. Like, you can say, okay, we want to grow. Everybody, yeah, let's grow. Woohoo! Okay, why? And that's usually where you get crickets. I'll talk to churches about this. We want to grow. Why? Well, because healthy things grow. Okay, well, why do you want to get bigger? Why do you want to have more people? And that's where people have a hard time answering that question. So, like in the city context, well, why do you want to bring all these businesses in? Well, we want more revenue. Okay, why? Because then we'll have more revenue. Right. Well, why? Well, because then we can do more things. Like what? Well, then we could, expand. Okay. And as the people start thinking, okay, now you start getting an idea of, oh, okay, so ultimately what you want to have is you want to be this sort of a city. Okay. Well, now that is your ultimate vision. Growth is just a strategy. And I think that helps people then when you're saying, here's why we're allowing a CBD shop to come into the city. You're not just saying, oh, because they have free reign or because we want to grow. You're saying, because ultimately what we want to do is we want to be a city where, families feel safe and, commuters feel, whatever that ultimate vision is. And allowing the CBD shop into the town will accomplish that in this way. And now people can agree or disagree, but at least they can connect the dots and they see why this is good for the community versus just this isolated thing where it becomes basically, I'm sure it's just going to become a who's pro CBD and who's anti CBD is really the ultimate argument versus what's the bigger picture.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, because otherwise you come up with this patchwork of decisions and thoughts, and it just, it's hard to get everybody moving in the same direction.
Correct. And that's hard work. But that's what's compelling to people. If you want to be part of a city that has a vision for the future, then at least, we've talked about this before where you're arguing different sides of an issue, but you have at least the same, when you go up a level, at least your agreement there. Like we can both say that our ultimate goal is to make our schools as effective as possible. And we can argue this down here, but we both are motivated by making our schools very effective versus we don't really know what we're both trying to accomplish. We just are arguing.
Yeah, exactly.
So interesting. Yeah. Interesting article that popped up.
Okay, well, let's move on. Yeah, that was good, and thanks for your thoughts on that.
You as well, Peter.
Well, we've got a relationship question of the day today, and this is from the newly married guy. It's only been a few weeks, so I'm still getting my feet wet, and asking the gray dog.
The gray dog.
Asking the old lion some questions here.
Hey, it's almost my 28th wedding anniversary. Can you believe that?
Wow.
That's how old I am. I was married when I was 4. So I don't know if I have answers, Pete, but I'm happy to at least share my thoughts on what you got noodling there.
Okay, well, I sure can. So this comes from an actual thing that happened. The question is, how long does your spouse have to eat a treat that they bought before it's considered fair game? So here's what happened.
Oh.
So LeAnne will go to the bakery, Herman's Bakery, and buy these character cookies.
Okay.
You know what a character cookie is?
I don't, but I'm using my imagination right now. It's like a Superman shaped cookie.
No, it's just
Dang it.
it's a shortbread cookie base, and then they use frosting to make different animals.
Oh,
So
you like frosting.
or a frog or a bunny, and it's a lot of frosting. I mean, it's literally like it's probably 2 or 3 inches of frosting on top of this.
Okay, no, I don't know what this is, but now I have a picture.
And so LeAnne loves them, and I like them too. So she every once in a while will get a couple of those. So she brought 2 home. One was I think mine was maybe a bunny, and hers was a lion. And she said, "I get the lion, and you can have the other one." So I'm like, okay. So I ate mine, and then hers was sitting around for 2 days.
Yeah.
I was just kind of noticing, it didn't get eaten. So the 3rd day, I didn't have dessert. And so I had my lunch, and then I had that lion character cookie.
You just couldn't not eat it.
No, I couldn't hold myself back. My willpower is just weak when it comes to that stuff. So
did you know it could cause problems at the time?
Well, yes, potentially. Okay. But my thinking was, well, we're going to have to throw it away, here pretty soon. And so instead of doing that, I'm going to eat it.
Yeah, right. That's better than throwing it away.
Yeah, we have thrown them away in the past.
Sure.
So I just ate it, knowing, kind of taking a reasoned approach.
Sure.
After my lack of willpower had already made the decision for me, then I had to justify.
Right.
So I was like, well, I don't want to have to throw it away, so I'm just going to eat it now. Not a big deal. They're only a couple bucks, and she can get another one if she wants. So and it ended up that she was upset about that.
Yeah.
Not really upset, but like, where's my character cookie?
Sure.
And so I had to tell the truth. So who was right and who's wrong on that?
Well, I think it starts with communication, Pete. It always does. I think if there's a history of things not being eaten like that, where they end up being thrown out, I think that's an opportunity for you to say, hey, if this isn't eaten by what, give me a date and time. Like, if you don't eat it by this time, when can I eat it? Like, kind of set that up front. Because I think just eating somebody else's stuff could cause problems. Now, you laugh it off as a $2 thing, but what can happen is that can be seen as a lack of respect. I'm not saying it wasn't that case, but like, he ate my stuff without even asking me. Well, you can rationalize that all you want and say, well, it was 2 days. It was going to get thrown away. We have a history of this. And I totally get that argument. Like, I'm just going to eat it. Mm-hmm. I think so I can see both sides of it, but I think, just even in the morning or the day before saying, hey, if you don't eat this thing in the morning, can I just have it at lunch? That kind of thing could go a long way, but you hadn't really thought that through. It was more of a compulsive, I didn't have dessert, I want something to eat. There's a lot of frosting on a lion that I'm going to hammer that thing. I think, so I think the decision is more on the front end, the communication around what's the expectation here in general. If something's
is that really practical though? I mean, because you can, that's great advice, and I agree, and that would have helped a ton in this situation. But I mean, do you really have to be so proactive about all these different things?
So I'd say that's the ultimate, would be that sort of thing. My wife and I kind of have that understanding now, kind of that sort of thing. Like, hey, because it's usually me that doesn't eat stuff. Like say I'll make tacos, but I like to make tacos for like a week. Like, because if I'm going to make the tacos and cut it all up, I want to eat it for like the next 5 days, and I'll have it for every meal. But anyway, so she'll say things like, okay, if the taco meat isn't eaten by Wednesday, can I give it to my mom? Give the rest to my mom. Yep. Okay. Because she used to just all of a sudden be gone. I'd be looking for tacos. I'm like, it's gone. She gave it all to her mom. I'm like, hey, I want more tacos. And so, through the years, that became the thing. Like, we kind of, so practically on the front end say, hey, yeah, if I don't eat this by Wednesday, give the rest to your mom so she can enjoy it, that kind of thing. So there is some piece on that. I think when it's not practical, like this sounds silly and that sort of thing. When it's not practical, I think, sorry, I'm not always going to take LeAnne's side, but in this one, I probably do a little bit just from, because what you said was, hey, it's only $2. And if she wants another one, she can get another one. Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with that. But I think the better relational perspective is, hey, I'll replace it. If she really wanted it, I'll replace it for her. Like, either, you leave $2 kind of as a funny thing saying, hey, I'll get you another one or whatever, or just leave her a note or tell her, say, hey, I'll replace, if you wanted that one, I'll replace it, but I just couldn't resist. So I think that's the difference, is saying, hey, if she wants another one, she can get another one. And clearly Herman's is whatever, half a mile from your house. But more switching it on the perspective of saying, I'll replace that for you if you want another one. I just couldn't resist it, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. So moving forward, error on the side of, don't mess with her stuff. Basically.
Well, yes. And I mean, the thing is you're married, and so you're going to have naturally that kind of overflow, and you don't want to be so sensitive, like, well, that's LeAnne's quarter. I can't take that. You don't want to have to live there. So, you kind of you figure out what's important or whatever. With that kind of thing, I think you don't necessarily have to. I think the more you can manage expectations on the front end, the better. Yeah. Like that thing. If she has a history of buying sweets and not eating sweets for several days, and then you throw them out, I think it's certainly fair to say, hey, can I eat this by Tuesday before it goes bad if you haven't eaten it? And she'll probably say, yeah, if I haven't eaten by Tuesday, just go ahead. Okay. If she says absolutely no, then it's got to be one of those things we're just going to have to go in the garbage.
And would it be okay to have a blanket rule where if it's not discussed specifically, then you've got 2 days or you've got 3 days? Any treat that comes in this house, it's not eaten in 3 days. It's fair game.
I think that's probably the ultimate. I mean, if you kind of have that rule, as long as you're both flexible on some things, we generally have that with the food thing now. I mean, it's not a written rule; it's never really been talked about. But we've talked about it a little bit, I guess. I mean, we'll just say, if I don't eat that in 2-3 days, feel free to give it to your mom. And she kind of knows now from my backlash of saying, if I make something, she's not going to give it away the next day. So there's kind of this 2-3 day window. That's kind of this unwritten rule, but. If she gives it away now after a couple of days and I'm like, oh, shoot, where is that? Well, that makes sense. So you kind of weed that out. But yeah, I think a blanket rule is good if if you're buying bakery treats that often. But yeah, in general, yeah. I mean, you're married now, so stuff is yours. There's still Pete, there's still LeAnne, there's still, you have your independent things, and I think that's super healthy. But a lot of the stuff now that you buy is shared stuff, and that's just part of the reality.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. Well, I don't know if you noticed. Did you notice this right here?
Your bookshelves?
It's something on the bookshelf. It's golden.
I see something go like a circle.
A golden circle.
I see it.
It is.
Oh,
a golden snooze box.
You found the snooze box? You found it?
I got the snooze box.
Oh, after all these years.
Yes. I laughed so hard when I got this present from you.
Isn't that great? Yeah, it actually wasn't even my idea. It was my wife's idea, Tracy's idea.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Because I told her I was talking about the Swedish festival like we've been talking about in the golden snooze box and blah, blah, blah. She's like, we should get a snooze box and paint it gold.
Yeah, it's so perfect. It's a golden snooze box. I can finally say I got the golden snooze box.
Yeah, I thought when she said that, I'm like, that is absolutely genius that her and Annie actually painted it for you.
It's awesome. Yeah, you can thank them. We're still working on our thank you notes, but yeah, you can give them a preemptive thank you.
Yeah, we don't need a thank you note, but I will let them know that you got it and had it up there. That's super fun. Annie actually is working on something for you and LeAnne. Then she got super sick, so she still got something for you guys too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So we're gonna shower you with gifts. It was a big day, a fun day, exciting time.
Oh, good.
I'm glad you got the snooze box.
Well, let's keep rocking and rolling here. So you have been out of town again. You were kind of doing some news reporting of your own, kind of a little Bill Stickles maybe envy or something.
It's a little Bill Stickles envy. I'm never going to be the man like that.
No.
But no, I was actually doing. I had an opportunity to do some poker reporting, and people that aren't around the poker scene are like, what? What are you talking about?
Well, and actually, before we get into that, I should mention you got the 9th most popular poker podcast in the country, right?
Well, somebody did an article on this deal, and I don't know if I agree with it or not, but yeah, so somebody let me know that they'd done the research. They look at traffic, they look at the editorial board does reviews, they do all this kind of stuff, and their determination was that Rec Poker, which is my poker podcast, was the ninth best. So the article was the 20 best poker podcasts that you have to listen to in 2019 or something like that.
Okay.
So I was like shocked that we were on the list and as high as number 9. So that was super exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. So kind of know what you're talking about when it comes to poker. I mean, this isn't just heading out to some rinky-dink thing doing a poker reporting. It's
Right.
like, official. Like you got a press pass, I'm sure.
I did. Yeah, I became an official employee of the casino for 4 days, and yeah.
Wow.
So there's a poker tour called the MSPT Mid States Poker Tour. They're a growing tour. They're pretty big right now. And they do, when they cover big events, when they have main events, they like to bring in reporters to actually do articles on their website, and then they do social media and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a big deal. So they had like 3 of us that were in there doing reporting. So they'd asked me, because I'd done a little bit of reporting for a local casino, Running Aces, and MSPT said, "Hey, do you want to do more of that?" And so I chatted with the guys, and they had me. I've committed to doing 3 of these. So I went out to Cleveland from a Wednesday through Monday and covered the event out there. Just had a blast. Super long days, like 12, 13-hour days, basically on your feet the entire day. You just it's basically going out there, getting stories about the people or hands that have just happened and coming back and writing it all up and blah, 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 and sending it out, going and getting another one. So it was super fun, man. Lost my voice a little bit. I went to the United game last night, so I lost my voice. But no, I had a blast doing the reporting thing. So I've got 2 more that I'm going to do with them, and then we'll kind of see if it's a good fit on both sides. Oh, I lost you, but now you're back.
Yeah, now I'm back. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with my Wi-Fi. Anyway.
Yeah. So I'm pretty much done. But yeah, I had a blast. I've got 2 other I'm going to Indiana in a couple of weeks, and then I'm covering a big one that they have here locally in September. And then after that, we'll just kind of see, if they liked my work product, if I enjoyed doing it. We'll decide if there's more of that in the future. But it was super fun, man.
What did you do? It was kind of just interviewing players as they got out, or between breaks or something? Or
yeah, there's not a lot of interviewing players. I tend to not want to distract them from the game. But what you do is you got to find out. You can go around the room and find out like who are the big names in the room. Either I recognize them or other people recognize them. Look up their bio and stuff, and then write a little article about, oh, hey, this guy just showed up. He took his seat on table 27. Blah, blah, blah. Here's his career history, kind of a player profile type of stuff. And then as you get further into the tournament, the focus is more on the hands that are happening. So, this guy picked up pocket aces, this guy pocket sevens, and you kind of, you make your notes on what's actually happening in the hand and who bet what and how big the pot was, how much they'd left behind, and all of the action that happened. And then, once the hand is over, if it ends up being a significant hand, somebody gets eliminated or a lot of chips are won by a player. You go write it up, take a couple pictures, put those in the article, and then publish another one. So it's pretty much every 10 to 15 minutes publishing an article. It's pretty fast paced.
Holy cow. Yeah.
Yeah. But the idea is that you're keeping connected with the people that can't be there. So there's a lot of, poker nerds like me that know there's a big event going on. I can't be there, but I want to kind of track what's happening, or I've got a buddy playing it. And so that's the way to keep people engaged with the tour and with the tournament.
So what was the top prize then that somebody walked away with?
Yeah, so Adam Friedman, he won $140,000, somewhere in there.
Wow.
So this one is a $1,100 buy-in tournament. Yeah, and so it's kind of interesting story about this guy, and I got to hang out with him a little bit. The fun part is you get to watch these guys play, so you kind of learn quite a bit as you're watching them play.
Oh, yeah.
As well. But they've had this event 3 times in Cleveland, and this guy's taken third, and now first, which is crazy. So yeah, he's a stud player, and I'm 120,000 or something. Not too shabby.
No, that would for a night's work or a weekend's work.
Right. Not too bad. Now, most of the time you're going to lose money, but once in a while you bink the big one.
Yeah.
But yeah, good. So good stuff. So that was kind of fun to do. And, I just being around the poker world, and like you said, the podcast, I mean, everything's it's just super fun. I mean, it's just been this hobby, but there keeps, opportunities keep emerging with it. And so, I want to continue to kind of ride that wave a little bit and see where it goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How about you? Anything new and exciting now? Are you back in the rhythm of life after post-marriage?
Yeah. We're kind of getting back into it, and nothing real exciting. Just kind of just trying to get organized. We've got a garage full of things to sell or give away or return. And I mean, the houses are both just, in shambles, everything laid all over the place. So I've got 35 pounds of candy I got to figure out what I'm going to do with.
Oh, do you actually?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Steve. I've tried to not eat sweets for about 3 months, but you have 35 pounds of candy might change my mind.
Yeah, I've got Fun Dip, or I've got yellow bananas. Do you like Banana Runts?
Oh, Banana Runts are actually one of my favorite candies. Yes. Oh my gosh, this is awful. Now, Pete, you're being a really bad influence on me here. Pete is currently, if you're not on the YouTube, he's currently. Oh my gosh, he's got like.
So I've got
5 bags.
How many pounds? I've got 9.
Oh my gosh.
Plus 4. I've got 13 pounds just of Banana Runts.
I want some. I will buy some from you.
Well, you don't have to buy them. I'm giving them away for. Actually, we should do a giveaway.
How about we do that? Yes.
You get one because, you get one of these 2-pounders.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
But then we'll do a giveaway for one of these for the other 2-pounder.
Okay. Yeah.
How do people win the 2 pounds of Banana Runts?
Well, what do you think? How about how about just something on the Facebook page?
Yeah.
How about, it doesn't need to be anything, just sort of an active. We'll put something out there. We'll put on something on the Facebook page that we're giving away a 2-pound bag of Runts from Pete's wedding. And just if you comment and share that post.
And you have to mention the secret word in your post to prove that you've listened to the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Because you can't just be on Facebook and say first one to comment wins the Banana Run.
No, not the first one. I'd say we do like a random drawing. I'd say you have to comment and share, and then we'll do a draw. We'll do an on-air drawing next week.
Okay.
All right, but you have to comment with the keyword, whatever. Well, say once somebody does the code word, then everybody knows the code word. So I'd say we put the post. You just have to comment anything, and you have to share the post, and you're in the drawing.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll draw the winner next week.
Okay.
All right. Sweet, dude. Yeah. Do you want to put the post out there? Put a picture of it out there on Facebook page?
Yes, I sure can.
All right. And then we'll promote that sucker. All right. Good. I love it. And then you'll still have 3 bags left.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, cool. Well, that's about all that I had. So I guess we can wrap it up, right?
Yeah, let's wrap it up, man. Fun discussion as always.
Mm-hmm, that's right. Well, check out the Isanti County Star website. They've got a bunch of news going on there today, this week, and just get out in that community and get out there.
Yeah. Summer's winding down. There's still a ton of community activities going on. If you want to get connected at all, like you said, there's a ton of stuff going on. Just go to the newspaper, the physical newspaper, or the Isanti Chisago Star online. Go check that out. Get connected, because pretty soon the snow is going to be flying, and you're going to be saying, why didn't I take advantage of all the stuff going on and get to know my neighbors? Do it now. Do it in August.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, well, thanks, everybody, and we will talk to you next week.
Adios.